I, 25M, hate the person my wife, 36F, has become. Last night we took an Uber home as we'd both had to work late. As soon as we got in she had an attitude. Making snide comments under her breath and huffing and sighing. I felt my stomach sink, because I know the signs by now of how this fucking goes. We get home. First thing she does after stepping out is open the app and I see her rate the ride 1 star. The dude did nothing wrong. On time, friendly, no issues. So against my better judgment I asked why she was leaving 1 star. She angrily said, "Is it not obvious he shouldn't be driving a car that fucking small?" It was a regular sedan. I tell her a bad rating it's for if they do something inappropriate or unsafe. She argued back that it was inappropriate to drive a car that size because everyone should be able to fit in it comfortably. Well, she is over 300 pounds, so I'd guess that's the real issue. Not the car. By this point I had unfortunately been sucked into the argument. Need to stop letting that happen. I know. Anyway, I said it's his personal car that he's chosen to use to provide people with a service, rides. They don't have to use it, but he's not required to own a certain size of car in order to drive for Uber. I also added that she could have requested a Uber XL or whatever the option is for when you have a big group of people and need more space. Then she's like, "What, and pay more because of my body type?" Fuck that, and fuck you for thinking that's okay. Keep in mind we hadn't even made it inside yet. She was hollering at me in the street with people close by. It always starts like this. She gets irrationally angry over some offense, usually from people doing her a service or doing their jobs. She snapped at people like waiters, fast food drive-through attendants, cashiers, customer service reps on the phone. When I tell her it's not okay to treat them like that, she turns her attitude to me and I get the rest of it. Now the thing is, I wouldn't have dated her for long at all if she was doing this back then. It only started over the last couple years. I can't stand it. It's obnoxious, humiliating and completely uncalled for. I don't mean to make it sound like she does this all the time. Maybe once every month or two. That's still too much for me. Especially since a lot of the time whatever she's complaining about is her fault, not theirs. Not fitting in the Uber, for example, her weight is her own fault. Another example would be the time she didn't specify she wanted her burger without lettuce and got mad at the window attendant for it. Or over the summer when she decided not to get a nice outfit for a wedding, then spent the whole time being a sourpuss at everyone because she stood out. She is making me feel beaten down and trapped. Some days just looking at her makes me feel like I'm suffocating. I hate that she's not the person I married. She became some stranger. I hate that I ended up with this fat, rude, angry person who doesn't give a shit how it affects me. She refuses to try therapy for her anger problems, because she's convinced it's always the rest of the world who's wrong. She's the victim and they deserved whatever she did. It's impossible to have a calm, rational conversation with her about any of this. She refuses to see how she's wrong. What can I do to make any sort of change? How do I know when it's time to give up? Too long did not read. Wife changed significantly since we got married and it's for the worst. I don't like who she's become at all. She manages to make drama out of nothing. I don't know if there's anything left to do or if I should just give up. What do you think? It's time, my guy. You said it yourself. This isn't the Coleman you married. We all get one shot at this life, just one. Don't make it to your deathbed and look back on years of regret and wasted time that you could have been happy. I honestly would have left a long time ago. Sort out your exit plan because she will make it a shit show. Let me guess, it changed after you married her? She groomed you. She is 11 years older. A man in her age would have left her long ago. She searched someone younger that she could have better under control. But do you want to spend your whole life like this? It will just get worse. Her bullshit of 1 time a month will become 1 time a week. The 300-pound will get 400 pounds. The cars will become magically smaller for her, more reason to complain. You will resent her more every day. Is this a happy marriage? Dude, she wanted a younger man because a man her age wouldn't tolerate her bullshit and you shouldn't either. It's time to move on. Honestly, as someone who worked retail and service jobs for 6 years, this makes me sick, like I'm actually nauseous reading this, and would not fly with me. Being this nasty to service workers for no reason is not only a deal breaker, but it doesn't make her a decent human. I don't care how often it happens. Once is too much. If she doesn't respect the people driving her around or making her food, basic human decency, right? How is she supposed to respect you? It doesn't sound like she is, and I think you just need to get out. You don't deserve this and she needs to grow up. She is a 36-year-old woman who is acting like a child. I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Be safe and I wish you all the best. Heart, you can do so much better. Heart. She's an asshole. Making delivery drivers lives more difficult than they need to be. Also the age gap? WTF? She's a walking red flag, my guy. You're in your mid-20s and you're married to an obese asshole who's pushing 40. Get single, get your ass in the gym, and get yourself a do-over, son. She is abusive to you. I wouldn't tolerate it. She needs therapy and to change her behavior, or you should be out of there. My 16F father, 39M, is dating his counselor, 40F, and I don't think it's right. We lost my mom to COVID around Christmas of last year. My dad then signed up for therapy for me and him. Over time, this became a sexual relationship for the two, and it got to the point where he brings her home and sleeps with her. Now my problem isn't that my mom is being replaced. I understand the need for human companionship, but that the counselor-patient relationship is extremely inappropriate. When I try to tell him to at least have her leave her job if they want to date, he refuses and threatens to take away my college fund if I reveal any of this. What do I do? So you effectively don't have a counselor because you can't talk to her now. Your father won't let you get a new counselor. His response to you wanting a new counselor is to threaten you with taking away your college fund. Yeah, I can see she's really helped him deal with his grief and his issues. That's why there's rules about stuff like this. I'm so sorry you're going through this. This is extremely inappropriate behavior from the counselor. Holy shit. Dear Lord. This is terrible. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to your dad. This is not a relationship of equals. There is a reason that all of the rules are against this. You and your dad may believe that he is in charge here, but she is in a position to manipulate his emotions and do him real and long-term harm. Report this anonymously to her boss if she has one. If not, to her colleagues and her licensing board. This is so wrong on so many levels. I'm sure that's a major ethical violation. Is there a crisis intervention, youth helpline available where you live? You should talk to them about what's happening and they may have some advice on how you can handle the situation. So based on your comments, your college fund is on the line. Sit in every session in silence. Gather evidence that your dad is sleeping with the counselor. When your college fund is transferred to you, drop the evidence to her boss and to the governing board of professions. They can't make you talk. And to be honest, if your dad is willing to take your college fund, I would prepare to go to school without it. And cut contact with him. Because he's now bullying you for sex. Which makes him a shit parent. Report the counselor to state licensing authorities. She should lose her license over this. Find yourself a different counsel for therapy and leave them be. Won't bring any good trying to do anything. I get why everyone tells you to report her, and morally speaking I totally agree. However, if you think your father will not pay your college if that happens. Tricky question. Not the best advice, but play smart. Don't say anything and comply. Keep going to the counselor and tell her what she wants to hear. Luckily she will tell you in a few months that you don't need more therapy. Go to college. Get a job to be economically independent and say bye-bye to your asshole of a father. In the meantime, you could try to find a part-time job, and have therapy seasons on your own with your money. I know my advice is kind of, be a sociopath for the next 4 years, but if you can't handle the confrontation or the risk to be at 18 without founds is what I would do. Update. I, 34. Might be a boy's 15 male father, and I'm anxious about telling my wife. Thank you for all your helpful advice when I posted this before. It really eased my nerves about telling my wife, because you're right, it's not like I cheated and I never even knew about the kid. After I told my wife, we reached out to his grandparents to arrange getting a paternity test. My wife and I talked many times even before the results came in. This was wild for her. As it was for me. But she told me if he's my son then he needs me, and she hopes I feel the same way. I do completely. Not gonna run out on the boy for my own actions. I'm glad we were on the same page about that. The fact that she told me she would have lost respect for me if I didn't want to try being involved or at least support my kid was heartwarming. She's incredible. Got the results back a couple days ago and we took a look together. I'm his father. I don't know why, but I was crying. My wife hugged me. Honestly, I don't know why I did. It just hit me that I'm a father and all the time we missed together. We talked to his grandparents again and I got to talk to the boy for a minute. Mostly to tell him I'm sorry for how I initially reacted with him and that wasn't fair to him. Kid seems really eager for us to meet. I am too. He asked me if it's okay to call me dad and I'm like, of course it is. We're still trying to figure things out in terms of scheduling a meeting. He has my number now and he texts me every day. Nothing in particular, just to say hi. But it makes me smile and he seems like a sweet boy. My wife says he has my crooked smile. I have no idea how she's managing this so well. I've been a wreck these last few days. Going from panicking, holy fuck I have a son, what am I gonna do? To feeling sad and guilty about missing out on his life, and then talking non-stop about little stuff he's told me about himself so far. I've even asked my wife, how the heck are you so composed right now? The following days after I told her, she was distant while she tried to process it, but now she's in that let's get down to business mode. She thinks maybe it's just her way of still processing this. I'm so grateful I told her. Having her support has made this a lot easier. Are you still in another state? Could you have casual meetings in the future, or would it mean traveling each time? Congrats to you and your son. And, somehow, your wife. Your wife is an absolute hero for you, cherish her. Congrats dad and amazing stepmom. It's great you are talking, and remember, you can't change the past and work on the future. Make sure to include your wife so she doesn't feel left behind. Stupid I know, but just in case. I'm happy for both of you. He must be so happy that you reacted so well upon finding out that he is actually your son. It's a crazy story. Glad that I read it. Wish you and your son the best. This is a happy story. Not only is your wife an absolute gem, but your high school ex-GF sounds like she was a good mother, and her parents sound like loving people who have the interest of their grandson. I would caution you that your son will need therapy, because of the loss of his mother. The gain you and your wife will have with this addition to your family is made because of the loss of a beloved parent. He's 15, and that will help him make the adjustment, but there will be times when he misses her, and he will need understanding and love. Wishing you all the very best. You are lucky. Lucky that you have a chance to build a relationship with your son. And lucky that you have such an amazing wife. Take it a step at a time. You will come through this different but stronger. Good luck. We need more updates on how everything goes. And you have an amazing wife, and hopefully you guys have children as well. You have a great wife. Sounds like you have a good kid as well. I would suggest you consider having him stay with the grandparents unless your wife is okay with him moving in. Whatever you do, both you and your wife should just try to get to know him, become friends. Don't try to parent him since he is practically an adult now and he doesn't know you. Thoughts on having a partner that's too naive? My girlfriend told me she just left the gas station and a guy came up to her and said he was with some sort of massage company, asked her if she liked getting massages and then asked her shoe size and to take a picture of the bottom of her feet. I hoped she told me she got in the car, but instead she told me she took her shoe off, showed him her feet face with rolling eyes. OMG lol. Gas station footman strikes again. An ex of mine was like this. I grew to resent her over time since I felt more like her parent than her partner, and she didn't change or learn. My wife thought she was going to jail. Bekwase, the sheriff, told her over the phone that she missed jury duty, but that she was not allowed to tell anyone this and that she needed to get into her car and start driving and they would tell her where to go. Luckily I walked in when she was frantically trying to leave, and took a lot of effort to get her to tell me what was going on, because she said there was a gag order in place, which isn't how that works, so I guess I feel you about this. That would be such a deal breaker for me. I want an equal partner, not a grown-ass child. Just such a turnoff. You will spend your time worrying about her, accomplishing mundane tasks for her because you can't trust her to do them, and eventually do all the adulting that two adult lives require without any time for a break from all the responsibility. Carrying the weight of her with you at all times will slow you down in reaching whatever goals you have in your own life professionally, hobby-wise, life goal-wise. Eventually, you'll get annoyed. Then exhausted. Then angry. And yes, I'm speaking from experience here. And then you'll lose all respect for her. My boyfriend made me send money through Venmo to someone from Reddit that claimed they'd deliver us weed. Not much you can do with naive partners except maybe inform and teach. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. While to me this seems like a very obvious scam, I am neurodivergent and unfortunately I am very trusting and easily conned. Like, if someone jumped out of the bushes twirling a mustache I'd be like, aha, you can't fool me. But most scammers are so warm, friendly, and charming, and start off by being super nice and complimentary. If you are in any way a people pleaser, you might find yourself wanting to give them the keys to your car just because they make you feel like $1 million. You need to keep her indoors unless you are available to keep her safe. The next nutter may tell her he's from a talent spotting agency and lure her into his car. Okay, I'm going to say something that might sound mean. I think you might want to focus more on what drew you to a person like this in the first place. She obviously does not have the ability to set her own boundaries due to neurodivergence or disorder.